Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Janice, and I'm the director of the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic here at Maryland Volunteer Lawyer Service. I'm very happy that you're all joining us today. We have some really great speakers who we'll get to in just a moment. So first of all, I do want to invite everyone to follow MVLS on social media. If you see, we have a fancy new logo. MVLS is now 40 years old this year. And to celebrate, we have a new logo and lots of exciting new activities going on to continue to encourage pro bono service. Jay, if you'll move to the next slide, please.
Oop, there we are.
There we go. So for all of you that are MVLS volunteers, what we do is we assist clients who need assistance with pro bono cases, and in order to find pro bono cases, we do have the Pro Bono Portal. Next slide, please, Jay. There we go. And so this is what it looks like. All of our cases are categorized according to, or classified according to their category, the type of cases, and tax is a little blue square to the right. It's a small square, but it is very important, of course. And when you click on that, you're going to see different case summaries of the different cases that we have available. That we do always have cases available. Tax controversy is always a problem, and people need assistance with that. People especially need assistance this time, right now, with getting their stimulus checks. And that is something that we are also helping people to do by preparing tax returns for people to get their stimulus checks, who don't, and these are also often individuals who don't need to prepare a tax return, but in order to get the stimulus checks, they will need to do that this year. So we certainly welcome anyone who can join us in helping to prepare those tax returns, because that money is so very important to our clients. Next slide, please. Okay, as a volunteer, not only do you get access to great networking and other opportunities, but also get to access to recorded trainings like this one. And in addition to these other areas of law as well, if you have any interest in those. So next slide, please, Jay. Okay, so finally, I do want to encourage you, if you're not a volunteer yet, to please sign up today. Not only do you get access to these great trainings and networking opportunities, but it really feels great to help someone, especially these days when so much is going wrong in the world these days. It's really nice to make an impact on someone's life. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our speakers. And I will just quickly say hello to Jay and Gary. Gary, well, go ahead.
Well, my name's Gary Compton. I'm an attorney, an elderly retired attorney. The only legal work I do is volunteering for the MVLS. I've been doing that for about 11 years now, taking a number of cases, and I've been involved in several cases of the Low Income Hardship Program. Found that to be a very helpful program for our clients, especially people who are caught up in payment plans they can't afford, and most especially people who have been unable to renew their driver's license or auto registration because they owe state taxes.
I'm going to just jump in and say that Gary is very modest. Gary is actually one of our most prolific volunteers. He has won many awards from MVLS, and we greatly appreciate his service. And I invited Gary to join us today because he was one of the first ones to try working with this program. And so we are eager to hear about his experience. So thank you, Gary. And Jay is our good friend at the Maryland Comptroller's office, and he's going to be telling us about this program. So Jay, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. My name is Andrew J. Maschas. I go by Jay. I'm Assistant Director in the Compliance Division located in Baltimore for the Comptroller's office. I'm currently in charge of the Hearings and Appeals section and also the Business Tax Field Audit section. Previously administered the Unclaimed Property and also the Business Tax Collections section for the Compliance Division as well. Been with the Comptroller's office a little bit over 14 years in various roles, and mostly through the appeals sections. And I don't, I'm not in charge of administering the individual income tax collection section, which if you're going to be using this low income hardship program would be the section that you're going to be in contact with. But I'd like to share today some details about this program, and also the procedures and mechanics of how to apply it, and also some additional materials that I think you might find helpful in representing low-income taxpayers with collection issues.
Great. You know what? One thing I forgot to mention is that if anyone has any questions as we go along, please put them into the question box, and we can discuss them as we go, or we'll talk about them at the end, depending on our time. Thanks.
Okay. All right. I guess I'll start with the program. All right. So there is the Comptroller's Low Income Hardship Program was rolled out last year, a little bit in January or the beginning of 2021. But as Janice noted, in our discussions, it was overshadowed, or at least took a back burner due to COVID and trying to get the Comptroller's office and maintain functionality at the Comptroller's office. I know on March 12th, 2020, there was an email sent out that everyone in the Baltimore office, and as well in Annapolis office for the Comptroller's office, to not report to the office on Friday, March 13th. And Friday, March 13th, there was only 3 to 4 people in the office, myself included, and we were trying to figure out what to do and with our employees and staying in the office, and how we were going to function and how we were going to be able to operate as an agency, and also as the compliance division. So a lot of the programs that we were working on, they took a back seat to maintaining or functionality of the office, and I think we've done a terrific job of maintaining the functionality of our office throughout this pandemic. But this is one of the programs that I would honestly say that we were excited to roll out and ready to roll out, and to much fanfare, but it took a back seat, and we were concentrated on other tasks. So the Low Income Hardship Program, the materials not on the website at this. So this slides, I think that if we can share those with the attendees and the participants, would be terrific and helpful. There's one, before going into the hardship program, if you're representing taxpayers, there's one thing that has come to my attention from interactions with various attorneys and CPAs and other representatives, is that not everybody's aware of a tax alert that was issued back in April 14th, 2020. And pursuant to the governor's order, state of emergency order, there is actually a cessation on our collection actions. And this is on our website. If you want to, there's a red tab, COVID relief, that's out there, because some attorneys have questioned, is it real, or are you actually doing this? Where can I find it? And I said, it's right on the home page of the web page. But the Comptroller's office was suspending a certain provision, collection provision. You can our interest, our penalty provisions, and our notice of tax lien provisions. Those are the citations on this particular slide. And the cessation of the certain collection activities was effective March 12th and continued until 30 days after the lifting of the state of emergency by the governor. State of emergency has not currently been, it's still in play. So all these collection efforts that we used to do, we're not doing them anymore. And then, again, I mentioned administer the business tax field audit section. We're currently not opening up any new audits or doing any audit activities in that section, or even in the compliance programs and section as well. So we're not auditing taxpayers, and we're not enforcing collection efforts against taxpayers during the state of emergency. We've actually reassigned a lot of our employees to help get money out of the door, such as income tax return processing and unclaimed property. We've actually loaned employees to other agencies, such as the Department of Commerce. If they're not auditing, we need them to do something. So we've they've been approving small business loans and assisting the Department of Commerce with that. and various projects. Currently, the majority of the field audit staff is answering emails regarding the Relief Act about stimulus payments issued by the Comptroller's Office as $300 or $500 checks, and assisting with those efforts. So we're not doing two big things at our compliance division, which ensures compliance by taxpayers by auditing and performing collection activities right now. And in fact, assisting with getting money out the door, which is it's a different activity. Okay, let me go to the next slide. So pursuant to the order, the Comptroller's Office during this time will not send out lien warning notices, issue notice of tax liens, attach bank accounts, hold up the renewal of any license, including Maryland driver's licenses, or offset vendor payments for Maryland taxes. So if you have a client that currently has a hold on the driver's license, you can cite this tax alert, 4-14-20, and say, please release my taxpayer's hold on the taxpayer's driver's license. And there's an order right up on the website, and there should be no questions about it. I confirmed yesterday with both heads of the collections department, individual and business. Any issues? No, the taxpayers or the representatives just have to contact us and request a hold be released. So for the time being, this is a great program and a great way to help your clients out, as opposed to some of the things I'll talk about, like low income hardships or offering compromise. There's no documentation necessary. Simply name, probably the last four of the social, and an address, something to identify which taxpayer and who your client is. If you got a POA, that's terrific. So just wanted to bring this to attention because I've had some attorneys contact me and say, well, I try to call up and can't get a driver's license hold. Jay, can you do something? And I said, I sure can. Here's a tax alert on our website. Contact them again and say, please release the hold on their professional or driver's license based on this alert. So I wanted to bring this to attention. Oh, sure, go ahead.
I have a question about that. So the hold on the renewal of any license. So is that for anyone who is currently going to have to renew their license, like within this time frame, or is it for? I guess I'm wondering, what is the time frame? Does it include someone who hasn't been able to renew their license for like 5 years because of back tax issues, or is it just people who are supposed to be renewing during this time frame that the since April 14, and who because of a specific order? I guess that's my question. Is this just specifically for people right now, or is it for people who previously couldn't renew their license?
Both. If they have a hold on their license and they haven't been in to renew it for 5 years, they should be able to contact our office and have the hold released.
Wow. Yeah. Really? That's great. And then how long does that, I guess, so this will last until 30 days after the lifting of the state of emergency, and then they have to become compliant at that point? Or, I mean, I guess I'm wondering sort of, how does this work for someone who perhaps hasn't been able to get their license for like 5 years, say, because they have back taxes?
Well, I mean, it's always the timing of their driver's license and when it comes up for renewal. So if they haven't been able to renew their driver's license, contact, because of a hold, contact the Comptroller's office at those 2 email addresses. Simply cite the tax alert 414, request that the hold be released. And according to that tax alert, according to the 2 people that are in charge of the different collections group, it will issue release the collection hold. And so, if the taxpayer's hold is released, now they're able to renew it. It may be the driver's license may be good for another 4 years. So they've got until that next renewal time to try to get everything squared away through perhaps one of our payment plans or an offer to compromise.
Wow, wow, that's incredible.
Just to be clear, this is distinct from the Low Income Hardship Program. What you just described applies to everyone, regardless of income. Is that correct?
Everyone, yes. You know, the tax alert makes no distinction whether you make $10,000 a year or $10 million a year. It is a blanket policy at this time that we're not performing these collection actions. Again, at this time, we're not performing audit function, regardless of you know, if we receive tips as well. It's a blanket policy. And if somebody's currently on a payment plan that they're unable to afford, they can, you know, they can contact our agency to, you know, to hold off on those payment plans and try to reset them up. I mean, again, there's not a requirement that we're not, you know, if somebody calls in and or emails us to set up a payment plan, we're not going to tell them, no, we're not allowed to set up any payment plans at this time. But if someone's struggling to make payments on a payment plan that they've set up, we will you know, push that payment plan off until, you know, after this, or you know, hold off on it or discuss on those discuss those terms. So yeah, this applies to everybody, and it's again right on the webpage, MarylandTaxes.gov. There's a bright red box, COVID relief. Click on that. You can see all of our notices, and that'll be right there.
Great. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Jay. That's really good news.
So yeah, I mean, it's again, it's coming to my attention because there are a couple different attorneys that over the past year, multiple, I'd say 20 or 30, and I've just pointed them to that tax alert. So yeah, here's the information off the tax alert and the information that you need to give, whether it's a business taxpayer, an individual income taxpayer, to allow us to identify who the taxpayer is. And yeah, and send it right over there at COVID-19 at MarylandTaxes.gov for individuals, and CD collection biz at MarylandTaxes.gov for businesses. Okay. Yep. All right. So moving on to the three programs that we have, or under one umbrella: hardship cases, low income taxpayer, and income exceeds expectation. These are three different groups. And there's some similarities between the requests, and some differences about what the requirements are in the relief. But they all stem from the, you know, I guess the realization that, you know, certain low-income taxpayers, depending on the debt, depending on the financial ability, may never, or will have extreme difficulty, or may never be able to actually have a driver's license released, depending on those two factors: the amount of debt and the amount of current income, and also the third, their expenses. So it's a way to you know, help out low-income taxpayers whose debt you know, it may not be attainable for them to pay off. So, and this really did stem from the Comptroller's office. You know, recognizing that you know, driver's license is important to try to maintain employment. If a low-income taxpayer is relying on their you know, driver's license and their car to be able to get to work, and they don't have that driver's license, you know, they're forced to either not be able to work, or, as you know, I've had a few times in appeals, or the cases where somebody on a suspended license said, I'll drive down and you know, make that payment right away, and I said, no, please don't drive down on the suspended license. Just you know, find a lift from a friend, or get here by other means. You know, we're not, we don't want you to do that. So there's a hardship those three categories. There's some common benefits to these programs that if you apply and they're granted, that can occur for your client. Under all of those, no payment or no payment plan is required in order to release the license. So the current license hold is released. There also can be restrictions on future license holds as well down the road. With the tax alert that I mentioned, it's just for holds currently on the account, but after the state of emergency is lifted, any future holds it wouldn't apply to. This helps with currently with holds and then for future as well. Not referred to collection agency, and to have that collection agency contact the taxpayer. There's little to no documentation, and there's what I believe is a fast approval. Gary can tell me what his thoughts are, or whether it's fast or otherwise. And all right, with the hardship case, the taxpayers are requesting collection relief due to an inability to pay. So there's two eligibility requirements for this. Their household income in current year is 200% below the poverty level, and their only source of available income is Social Security or a pension. So this is the Social Security or the pension is really the key here, along with the 200% below the poverty level. And if your taxpayer or your client meets those two requirements, here's what is offered and what kind of collection relief is offered. Again, as I said, common benefits up there in the black font, license holds, not referred to a collection agency, no future notices, no payments required. The federal income tax refunds are not offset. Vendor payments are not offset if they have some sort of contract with the state of Maryland, would not offset those vendor payments. However, Maryland income tax refunds will be offset, and a notice of tax lien to protect the state's interest will be filed, and the taxpayer will be required to file all unfiled Maryland income tax returns. So those are the benefits, and those are the issues, or there's the items out there: the Maryland refund and the notice of tax lien, and they are required to file all the unfiled income tax returns.
Jay, do they have to file all of the unfiled tax returns before the hardship status is granted, or do they have a time period after the hardship status is granted to come into compliance?
Well, I think, Janice, that's a great question. We didn't get this program rolling out as much as we would like to before COVID hit, and I believe the answer is that they were going to be required to file all the unfiled Maryland income tax returns after after it's granted, and because one of the main differences between this low income hardship programs and the offer and compromise is that the offer and compromise, you're required to have all your unfiled returns be filed before applying for the OIC, whereas these hardship programs are for somebody that may have filed some of the returns and not all of their returns. So I believe the requirement is that you'd have to file it after applying. Because
okay,
if there was a requirement to file them beforehand, you might as well just it would just kick it out to an offer and compromise. Okay. The next second relief program is.
But the offer and compromise requires that you wait 2 years until after the taxes have been assessed.
Correct.
So that makes this program a little more flexible.
Yeah, I mean that's what I got a lot of questions about many years ago from attorneys. They would say, "Hey Jay, can you give me some information about filing an offer and compromise?" And look up their account and say, "Well, you know what? You could file an offer and compromise, but it's going to be rejected and it's not going to be accepted because I'm looking back and over the past 10 years, they've only filed 5 or out of the returns, and it hasn't been 2 years since this assessment, so they're not going to qualify." So I'd say, "Well, Jay, what do I do?" And I'd say, "Well, you've got to file the unfiled returns, and then that's going to start the clock ticking for 2 years before you can actually file an offer and compromise." So it's like, oh, wait a minute, it's got to be in collections for 2 years. So there wasn't really a good solution. for somebody that was a low income taxpayer, they couldn't afford the liabilities, but had, unfiled returns. So this is the, I guess, the stopgap measure for until a person could file an offer in compromise. Okay, so the next program is low income relief. Taxpayers requesting collections due to an inability to pay. And similar to the previous, the hardship case, the income in current year is 200% below poverty level, but their income be from any sources. Income is not exclusively from Social Security or pension. So on the one, your income is below 200% and you got Social Security or pension. This one, you can be, your income is below 200%, but you're working a job, still working. So under either of those, there's a commonality of 200% below poverty level, difference in where your income comes from. So, all right, well, what's offered under this one? Again, same items, collection agencies, no future license holds, current license holds, no payments. Liability is placed in a temporary hold status. And the reason why it's placed in a temporary hold status for low income is because the person's still working. So maybe they're not, their income's below poverty level now, but next year they might be able to get a better job or keep working. So we're going to put it in a temporary hold status, see how what the future looks like for them, and hopefully they're get them employed in order to meet their needs. The collection actions that will continue, unlike like the previous program, Maryland income tax refunds will be offset. What's different is federal income tax and vendor payments will be offset. There will be the tax lien like the other program. The taxpayers' withholdings will be increased if necessary to limit future liabilities. I mean, I've seen certain accounts where someone files a balance due return for 10 years in a row, which is, for me personally, it does boggle the mind, but and they file timely every year. So every year they file their tax return, realize, oh, I haven't withheld, I'm going to file a balance due and do the same thing next year. So ours, we try to, we may increase the taxpayers' withholding so it doesn't become an every year event. You have to review it annually. So you have to submit documents annually to see if the taxpayer's income still qualifies for this relief. The liability will be placed back in the collection flow when income arises above poverty level guidelines. And again, they will be required to file all the unfiled tax returns after applying for this relief. So because
on the holdings, can the controller increase withholdings unilaterally?
Yeah, they can. We do have the ability in a computer system to do it. And
there's supposed to be some kind of notice go out.
Yes, I mean, again, I don't know whether because the program didn't, just got off the ground, whether there would be a request sent to the taxpayer, please file, gosh, what is it, the W-9 or the form to increase their withholdings, or whether we do it internally. One of the two, but I could definitely see in the case where somebody had filed multiple returns with a balance due each year and was claiming, I believe, the wrong exemption amount to decrease their withholdings, being required to do it. So those are the difference. It's harsher because although the person's income is below that particular line, they're still working and they still have working or potential. Okay.
What if they have a pension? The same falls into the same category?
Well, that would fall under the first one. Yeah, the hardship program, where there would be less collection potential, because if somebody's Social Security or pension, we realize that they're past their past their working life, which I guess they're not going to be, I guess, doing other employment, although if that's only pension or Social Security and they're not doing any other employment, the collection efforts are less. for that. Here's the poverty level guidelines. I believe these are current as of last year. I'd have to check to see whether those are still current, but I believe they would be within that ballpark. Okay, and then the third category, expenses in excess of income, typically are offering compromise. We've required somebody to fill out a 433A, a collection information statement. It's available on our website, but we didn't use it in offering compromise as a guideline, and you use other factors. But here, this is where the taxpayer is requesting collection relief due to an inability to pay and meeting the following criteria. Their completed financial statement demonstrates an inability to make payments on the liability because the necessary living expenses equal or exceed the total household income, and paying the Maryland tax liability at this time would create an undue hardship on the taxpayer. So what's different about this than the other two? Well, the other two required your income to be below the poverty level. So this is for a program whose taxpayers whose income exceeds the poverty level. So there may be a taxpayer out there that, based on their expenses on the IRS guidelines, exceeds their total household income, and it would be maybe they have some sort of expenses for special needs children, maybe they have sort of medical bills. There's something in their life that, despite the fact that their income is above the poverty level guidelines, they're unable to pay their Maryland taxes at this time. So we offer this program in addition to people living below the poverty line. And what this would do is, again, similar in the black font up top, so commonalities. The liability, again, is placed in a temporary hold status. Any tax refunds, Maryland or federal, or in addition, vendor payments will be offset. Tax lien filed, withholdings may be increased. Financial statement is required yearly on a yearly basis. Liability placed back into collection flow when the financial statement indicates an ability to make a payment. And they're also required to file any unfiled Maryland income taxes returns as well. So similar to the previous program, but again, this is for people that whose income exceeds the poverty level guidelines. All right, so kind of the items to remember is the liability still exists. This isn't a discharge of the liability. It's really placing it into inactive collection status or not taking proactive collection actions against the taxpayer. The interest continues to accrue. There's no release of tax liens. Taxpayers still got to stay current on file required income tax filing. Must notify the comptroller of change in circumstances. And again, as I discussed, and Gary, as you brought up, there's the 2-year requirement, and also for OICs, and then also the requirement to have all income tax returns filed. So this is an alternate to an offer in compromise when the taxpayer is not eligible to apply. The relief only applies to the years for which the relief was applied for, so it doesn't apply to subsequent liabilities. If the taxpayer is granted relief under one of these programs and then subsequently filed 3 returns with additional liabilities, they would have to reapply for relief for those liabilities. So it's only what's on the account as of the time of the application. And Gary, did you have I think it was my next slides moved into, what's the difference between this and the offer in compromise? Did you have, from the practitioner's view, the experience with our office, and how did it go?
Yeah, well, I have, yes. I've done about 5 of the hardship cases now. Kind of feeling my way. We didn't have all this good information that you're giving us now. It wasn't as well documented. I think because of all, as you explained, the COVID took all the resources away. But I've had good luck with it. In the early days, some of the comptrollers' employers weren't fully on board about the program, and that's understandable. but recently it's been very good. And I've had cases in really all three categories where they were over the poverty line, not a great deal, but submitted the 433 showing they couldn't afford to pay and that it would require a hardship. And so far, every one of the cases I've submitted has been approved.
Oh, terrific. That's good to hear. Yeah.
Great.
You know,
And Gary, how long has it, I'm sorry, Jay, how long does it take to get approval?
Well, that's difficult to say because one little weakness of the program is I haven't been getting real good feedback. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But sometimes if it's the first category, Social Security only, it's very quick. In fact, I've had somebody call me back on the phone and tell me that it's approved the same day or maybe the next day.
awesome. That's great to hear.
Jay, do you know, does it have to go through any sort of manager approval or anything, or is there sort of the first person who receives this request at the comptroller's office, can they make that decision based on the criteria, or do they have to then bump it up to somebody else?
Well, I think it's it's going to be a certain person that reviews it. I've put up the information on the application process here, and at the controller's office, if there's a special email address, there's one person that there's usually one or two people that review that email address. Like I'm in charge of reviewing 3 email addresses in addition to my own, and right now. I don't think it would, again, to apply for this process, calling up would not be your best bet. And we're requesting review for a low-income hardship program. Because as Gary said, you know, I think because of COVID, people's attention has gone to other matters. So the person that you get on that particular phone line, you know, may not be familiar with it due to the tax alert and the other items, but if you email collections at lowincome.program@marylandtaxes.gov and request a review for low-income hardship program, the person that's going to answer that email is, you know, obviously familiar with it. So I think, and that person that answers the emails, they'll be involved in the process of approval. So I don't know this specifically.
On the third category, I had one approved, and person at the controller's office actually called me on that and said that the approval would be temporary for 6 months. Is that a general rule for the third category, inability to pay, where the person actually has a job but is not making sufficient money to meet all their bills?
I thought it was an annual review, no?
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be an annual review, and maybe, you know, again, Gary, maybe the person that reviewed it, maybe they received it in June or July and said, well, it's an annual review, so it's at the end of the year. So maybe that's why it's a 6 months. I'm just speculating.
And of course, it is up to the taxpayer to notify the controller's office of if they got a better job or earned more money or won the lotto or whatever.
Yep. Well, if they win the lotto, if we got that vendor offset in place, we'll notify them of you know, whether we're taking.
Oh, what if they win the Iowa lotto?
I've had a few cases where someone's tax liability got paid off thanks to the downtown casino. So.
Oh, that's nice.
There we go. A little automatic offset there, but so that's the information on you know, how to contact in the application process. Again, if your sole reason for contacting collections is try to get an MVA hold, you can do that using the tax alert information. And I think that's your best bet right now, but that won't be forever. And you know, when we get out of this, and you know, hopefully we really turn the corner this year, these programs will still be available. And let's see. So,
Jay, a quick question, Jay, about the tax lien. I think you had said that for the programs, even though it might be very easy to get approved, then a tax lien might be filed. Is there a minimum or like a threshold level of the tax balance before a lien is filed, or is a lien filed regardless of the amount due?
it's I think there is a small threshold, maybe a few $100s, but there is a threshold on filing liens. I haven't seen a lien for like $24 that has ever been filed. I have seen some liens for, you know, plus or minus $100 on, you know, over $1,000 of tax filed. But actually, I had this question come up, and the I believe after collections, it's been in the collections flow for 6 months. A notice of tax lien is filed. So 6 months is really the window. And I guess for some small liabilities, it would not be filed. And a notice of tax lien may be manually filed if the taxpayer requests a payment plan, I guess longer than 36 months, or they break a payment plan and don't reestablish a payment plan. So automatically after 6 months, above a certain dollar hold or dollar threshold, and manual if they request a payment plan longer than 36 months.
Okay, thanks.
All right, and then, so, I mean, just one thing I wanted to discuss, and this wasn't a presentation on our offer and compromise, because, you know, Janice, we've done that before, and you know that can take up an entire hour and more. But
Yes.
these low hardship or the hardship program, they're really a temporary hold or a temporary fix to get hold off on collection activities. They don't resolve the underlying liability. If you want to resolve the underlying liability, get rid of the tax liens, completely eliminate any chance of future holds, and resolve the case. You have to file an offer and compromise. And again, we've said it's 2 years old. All the past due returns must be filed. There's been some questions about how long we go back. The IRS has a manual that they don't do non-filer assessments or 6 year after a 6 year period. I think in Maryland, you know, it's typically you want to see look back 10 years. I've only seen less than a handful of non-filer assessments for a tax year older than 10 years, but that's a general time frame. There's nothing in a manual about how far you have to go back. So the offer and compromise is really what the best result for your client, settling it for a certain amount. And even we've accepted $0. But if your client doesn't qualify for an offer and compromise, then the hardship programs are available. And included some information about our offer and compromise. And this is off our website, and there's various requirements to be in an offer and compromise. Recently had a case that came up where the taxpayer was in bankruptcy but wanted to file an offer and compromise for a lesser amount to be able to work it out of Chapter 13, but we're not able to do that because we have a prohibition against accepting offer and compromises in a bankruptcy situation. And the rationale for all of these, besides a statutory limitation on 2 years, is that we really just want a final liability and to know what the liability is so they can adequately judge whether a taxpayer has ability to pay for it. We don't want unknown liabilities, and we don't want additional liabilities coming up later. And our information on offering compromise is available on our website, marylandtaxes.gov. And that's, again, if you wanted questions on our low income program, I'd try the email. But were there any questions from the audience, or Gary, did you have anything did you have any comments on our programs or offering compromises?
That's a lot of information. Are the slides downloadable, Jay?
Sure, I can share them with I can share them with Janet, and you can definitely make them available.
We'll put them on our website.
Yeah,
or if anyone would like a copy, I can you can email me and I'll.
That would be a really valuable resource, I think.
Yeah, no, this is incredible, Jay. Thank you. I had a question about the offer and compromise. Is that still continuing right now? I know there's the comptroller is going through so much right now. Are you still? Do you know if that offer and compromise board is still meeting regularly and still entertaining offers and compromise, or has that been slowed down significantly with everything else going on?
Yeah. Yes, no. I am on the offer and compromise board, but I haven't been able to attend regularly due to other duties as assigned.
Mm-hmm.
And like as my resume or as my job requirements say. But yeah, Melinda Dunmeyer in our office has been has gotten the offer and compromise and the case review board meetings, and she's actually been able to hold them through Microsoft Teams, and we've been able to look at the documents and sign off on them. So it's been a challenge because typically what we do for our offer and compromise meetings and our write-offs were to get a handful of people into one room and sign off on it, 3 signatures, and talk about it and kick the tires on the documents and review it. But obviously we can't all sit in the same room together and pass along a file and sign off on it, or debate whether it should be accepted or whether the paperwork. So she's done an excellent job of continuing that process, and will in some fashion or other will continue to do that in 2021. But according to Melinda, the volume that has come in has been tremendous, and I could I could see that from job losses due to COVID and a lot of people with financial struggles out there. Yeah, I could see an uptick in that.
Yeah, I know. Certainly with the IRS, things have slowed down significantly. So
there's just a lot going on these days. But I think part of that problem is also mail for the IRS. But as far as you know, the comptroller has continued to open its mail and continue to process mail as it's been coming in.
Yes, we still we have some dedicated folks. I think our unsung heroes at the comptroller's office are the folks that work in the mail room. I come in the office 1 day a week for maybe half a day, but I see the same 3 folks in our mail room and our payment processing group there, and so they've been coming in every day, and it's been a little slower, but we've still maintained that functionality about processing payments and getting things in the mail. And I mean, we've been more adaptable. I mean, there was another alert on the comptroller's website about accepting electronic signatures, and even certain folks that would never work from home or never try to use technology at home. Once you're forced to do something, you've got to do it, and like it or not, they've started to get around to it and actually enjoy it.
Yes.
I think I hear the contract. I think I hear the concrete truck. Yeah.
That's coming from here, I think.
All right. There's a. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's we've managed and adapted very well, and I can't speak for what the IRS has been doing on their challenges or struggles, but yeah, we've soldiered on with the offering compromises in our collection activities.
No,
I've been very impressed by the comptroller actually, and how they've reacted to the pandemic, and the fact that they have been, I feel like, almost more responsive to many of my requests than they were previously. So I'm very, very pleased with the way things have been going with them. I know that it's been a challenge for everybody, but certainly they do seem to try to keep things moving along. So I've been very, like I said, very surprised and very pleasantly surprised at how things are moving. So thank you for all of your hard work there. And great.
No, that's
Very
really
good.
helpful.
Yeah. Gary, any other comments or questions that you'd like to make about these programs? Or
I think Jay has given us so much information, there's hardly anything left to say.
yeah. No, I think this is tremendously helpful, and
Really
Gary
is.
is kind of our resident expert right now.
Nice. Yeah, thank you for your volunteering, Gary. I really, it's good to hear that.
Oh, great. So yes, these slides are a tremendous resource, and I will be sharing them with any of our volunteers who are taking these types of cases, because I think they are a great resource, and especially with the numbers and the comparison of the different cases. And I do like that there's that option for the third category, which is someone who is not necessarily low income, or not necessarily a hardship case, but who might still qualify for a program like this, because I do think that there are many people, especially these days, who fall into that third category, who may not fall in the first two, but may fall in the third one, simply because of the circumstances today. So that's great. So wonderful. Well, thank you. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to share them in the box. Otherwise, reach out to me, and I'm happy to share these slides, or we will also post them on our website for those of you who are volunteers. We have easy access to that. And I thank you, Jay, and I thank you, Gary, for joining us today.
You're very welcome.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you both. Everyone have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.